This is a $128 billion industry built on a single promise that the food in that bag is good for your pet. But how much of that promise is actually true, and how much is marketing? Today, we're breaking down the complete truth about commercial pet food versus natural diets, covering everything from what's really in that kibble to whether raw and fresh foods are worth the hype or worth the risk. Let's start with the sheer scale of what we're talking about. The global pet food market hit nearly $129 billion in 2025, and it is projected to reach $191 billion by 2033. The United States alone accounts for $66 billion of that. 95 million American households own a pet. That is more households with pets than without them. And the companies feeding those pets, they are some of the largest food conglomerates on the planet. Nestle, Purina, Mars, General Mills, Colgate, Palmolive. These are not small specialty brands. These are multinational corporations with billions riding on what goes into your dog's bowl. Now here's where it gets interesting. The FDA has regulated commercial pet food since 1938. That sounds reassuring until you learn what that regulation actually requires. Pet food must be safe to eat, produced under sanitary conditions, free of harmful substances, and truthfully labeled. That's it, as Stat News put it. If a bag of dog food is labeled truthfully, free of harmful substances, produced in a sanitary way, and contains specific ingredients approved by the FDA, that bag can be sold in the United States. But a product need not be especially nutritious to meet these requirements and go to sale. Read that again. The food doesn't have to be nutritious, it just has to not actively harm your pet and not lie on the label. The FDA does not approve individual products or brands. There is no stamp of approval. And the organization most people assume sets nutritional standards, AAFCO, the Association of American Feed Control Officials. They set ingredient definitions and nutritional guidelines, but they have no enforcement power. They cannot pull a product off shelves. And as of October 2024, the long-standing agreement between AAFCO and the FDA expired and was not renewed. On top of that, FDA oversight is actually shrinking thanks to mass federal layoffs at its Center for Veterinary Medicine, the very division responsible for regulating pet food. If you want to understand why people are skeptical of commercial pet food, you have to understand what happened in 2007. In March of that year, a Canadian company called Menu Foods issued a voluntary recall after test animals started getting sick and dying. The cause? Melamine, an industrial chemical used to make plastics and countertops, had been deliberately added to wheat gluten by a Chinese supplier to artificially inflate protein measurements. The contamination spread across thousands of products in multiple brands. By April 2007, surveys of veterinarians documented kidney failure in 236 cats and 112 dogs. But the real toll was far worse. Consumer reports to the FDA suggest approximately 1,950 cats and 2,200 dogs died. The final number is unknown because reporting was voluntary. This wasn't an accident, it was fraud. A supplier intentionally adulterated an ingredient to make substandard product appear higher quality. And here's something that should concern every pet owner. Melamine testing, even today, is not mandatory in pet food. That disaster did lead to the Food Safety Modernization Act in 2011, the most comprehensive update to food safety regulation in over 70 years. But recalls have not stopped. There were 17 pet food recalls in 2024 alone, mostly due to Salmonella and Listeria contamination. In 2025, Darwin's Natural Pet Products recalled dog food for both Salmonella and Listeria. As recently as May 2026, the FDA issued an advisory against 8 lots of raw energy dog food for bacterial contamination. So if commercial pet food has these issues, what about going natural? Let's talk about raw diets first, because this is where the debate gets heated. Proponents claim reduced allergies, shinier coats, increased energy, cleaner teeth, and longer lifespans. Some studies have shown higher digestibility and better palatability in raw diets. But the scientific evidence for most of those health claims? A critical review by Schlesinger and Jaffe concluded that the evidence amounted to opinions supported by data of low relevance. Better digestibility and stool quality had some support. Everything else was essentially anecdote. Risks are well documented. The FDA tested over 1,000 types of pet food, including 196 commercially available raw varieties. 15 tested positive for Salmonella and 32 for Listeria. Out of the remaining 800-plus non-raw foods, only one contained these pathogens. According to Cornell University's Riney Canine Health Center, your odds of being exposed to a foodborne pathogen in frozen raw meat diets purchased online are about 1 in 3, and there's a new risk that didn't exist a few years ago: H5N1 bird flu. In January 2025, indoor cats in California were confirmed infected with the virus through raw food and unpasteurized milk. Dogs can also contract H5N1, though they usually show milder symptoms. The FDA now requires manufacturers using uncooked poultry or cattle ingredients to include H5N1 as a known hazard in their food safety plans. Now let's talk about the fastest growing segment in the entire industry: fresh and gently cooked pet food. This is where things are moving quickly. Fresh dog food sales have risen 86.5% since 2021. The category is valued at $3 billion and projected to reach $10 billion over the next decade. Companies like The Farmer's Dog, Just Food for Dogs, and Freshpet have carved out significant market share, and the major players are racing to catch up. Mars launched Royal Canin Fresh Health Nutrition in 2025. General Mills pushed Blue Buffalo into fresh products the same year. Hill's Pet Nutrition acquired the Australian fresh brand Prime 100. In early 2026, Ollie was acquired for over $600 million. Fresh and gently cooked foods avoid many of the pathogen risks of raw diets while offering ingredients pet owners can actually recognize, but they come at a significant premium and still represent a small fraction of total sales, about 4% combined for refrigerated and frozen formats. There's one more controversy we need to address: the grain-free debate. Between 2012 and 2016, grain-free dog food sales increased by 221%. Then in July 2018, the FDA announced an investigation into a potential link between grain-free diets and dilated cardiomyopathy, or DCM, a serious heart condition. By November 2022, the FDA had received over 1,300 DCM reports. Their hypothesis points to high levels of peas and lentils, potentially having toxic effects on the heart. But this investigation has faced significant criticism. Internal guidance at Tufts University reportedly instructed clinicians to report DCM cases to the FDA only when the dog was eating a grain-free or non-reputable diet. Dogs eating grain-inclusive food from major brands who developed DCM were not reported by design. The FDA itself acknowledged it has no definitive information indicating these diets are inherently unsafe. Meanwhile, grain-free sales dropped sharply after the investigation began, costing smaller brands millions. So what's the takeaway from all of this? The truth is uncomfortable for everyone. Commercial pet food is more regulated than many people realize, but far less regulated than most people assume. Raw diets have real pathogen risks that shouldn't be dismissed. Fresh and gently cooked foods represent a promising middle ground, but remain expensive, and the science behind many nutritional claims on all sides is thinner than the marketing suggests. The single most important thing you can do is stop treating pet food like a tribal identity. Read ingredient labels. Look for AAFCO nutritional adequacy statements. Consult a board-certified veterinary nutritionist, not just the internet, and understand that the best diet for your pet depends on their individual health, age, and needs, not on what's trending. Your pet can't read the label. That's your job.